My name is Robert Shelley with Shelley Law, and I'm also the founder of Out of Residency. And I assist those physicians coming out of training with their first employment contract. Today I'm going to talk about disability insurance issues for resident physicians. So if you are in training now, it's extraordinarily likely that you've been offered some kind of disability insurance policy, through an outside company or through your employer as well. And I find most residents or fellows do utilize the disability policy, and then they get locked into a certain amount. And then if they continue that policy, it can follow them throughout their career. But there are some things to think about, especially, I guess the question is whether to get supplemental disability insurance. And then how does that work if your employer offers it as well? So I'm not an insurance agent, so warning before I get into this, but I am an attorney that's dealt in healthcare for over 2 decades now. And so I think I know a thing or two about disability insurance, and I certainly can advise my clients if I think it makes sense. I know I had a client who was a surgeon who did not have sufficient disability insurance. He had some kind of nerve damage in his right hand, which essentially precluded him from doing any kind of surgical work. And as you know, if you've been through training and you're a surgeon, there aren't a ton of other things that you can do if you aren't able to use your hands. And so going back to residency at 55 is not something that's super enticing to anybody. And so if he had had a proper amount of coverage, it may have not been that big of a deal. But in this case, it was. And so that's kind of why I think it's important to go over this for any kind of physician, either those in training or coming out. So there's 2 types of disability policies, short-term and long-term disability. Short-term usually covers anywhere between 30 to 90 days. And then you'll get a percentage of whatever your normal wage was. And then long-term disability is if you're considered either totally disabled or disabled enough so that you can't, practice as a physician. And in that case, the policy then dictates how long you'll get paid for, how much you get paid for, and then, what is considered disability or being disabled. So first, as far as short-term disability, you need both. Some policies will only cover long-term disability and not short-term. So you may want to make sure that the policy that you have provides both of those things. A short-term disability policy usually, I would say, covers somewhere between 60 to 80% of whatever your, wage or salary was at the time for that short period. And then it, won't go beyond that. A long-term disability policy can be anywhere from 40 to 80%. It really depends upon how much you pay in. So your premium, which is how much you pay on an annual basis for your disability policy, will dictate how much you get back if you are actually disabled at some point and are eligible to start collecting. Those who pay more, or a higher percentage of what they make on an annual basis, will make more down the road if they're disabled, whereas if you pay less in, most likely, as you go, you'll get a lower percentage. One issue that I do find are some policies are set at a certain amount at the time, meaning whatever you're making at the time that you get the policy, that will be the percentage that you will make or the number that's used. If your income increases substantially over time, you need to revisit that amount if that's the type of policy that you have, so that you do have a proper amount of coverage. Making $100,000 at one point and getting a policy on that obviously varies widely with having $500,000 in income. So you need to make certain that with your insurance agent that you have the proper amount of coverage as you progress through your career and you're making more money. Now, there are many, as I said before, that have disability policy while they're training, which they can take with them to whatever job they have. But if their new job offers a policy, many ask, does it make sense to utilize both? Most of the time, the policies offered by the employers are, maybe not comprehensive disability policies, meaning the percentage benefit that you would receive is on the very low end. And you're not going to have to pay a ton into the program to receive those benefits. So it's usually a good idea to utilize the employer's disability policy, but you need to weigh the employer's policy versus the one that you have now and are taking with you to determine if you want supplemental coverage as well. So even if you bring a policy from training into a new job and then you have, essentially two disability policies that are, simultaneously active, you can look to see if you can beef up one of those if necessary. Maybe I should have gone over this at the beginning. The point of disability is if you are disabled and you are unable to do your job, that you will get at least some of your income for a length of time so that you're not kind of completely out of luck and have no way of producing income for your family. I mean, it's the same as life insurance, meaning if you were to die, your family, kids, wife, whoever's the beneficiary would receive an amount of money that would theoretically be used to assist them in moving on without you and not having an enormous drop in lifestyle or just the standard of living that they have. Disability policies can be expensive. Now, when you're a doctor, once again, depends upon specialty, but you're very likely making over $200,000 for almost any specialty nowadays. And so when you're making that much money, it's not uncommon for your disability policy to be $10,000 a year at the very high level. Maybe the surgeons are making like $1 million a year. That can be even substantially more than that as well. And so some people are, I don't know if shocked is the right word, but extremely surprised that a disability policy is just so expensive. But it's just whether you want the peace of mind that you'll have some money coming in while you are disabled versus giving it up on an annual basis. I mean, that's just what insurance is, right? It's a gamble. None of us expects to die, but having that life insurance policy gives some people peace of mind that their wife and children or spouse or whoever it is will be taken care of when they go. As I said before, I'm not an insurance agent. I'm just an attorney that deals with physicians on a daily basis. So the best way of finding policy is just looking out there and finding an agent that you can trust. Maybe ask some of your colleagues if they have one that would be local. It's not necessary for them to be local, but at least I find it's nice to have a name and a face and be able to meet your insurance agent if you're going to do business with them, because most of the time you're doing business with this person for decades down the line, and so it's nice to have a personal relationship. So you need to find an insurance agent that you can trust, that has good reviews, and then just kind of go over all of your options as far as disability insurance. There are many agents that specifically cater to physicians, and so I would try to find one of those. They have some creative, ways of dealing with things that I think just utilizing a general person that doesn't focus in healthcare might be not a bad idea, but it's always good to, I think, do business with an expert. So that's what I would suggest. If you have any questions about your employment agreement, independent contractor agreement, feel free to contact my law firm at the phone number listed below in the description. You can reach us through our website that's listed below as well. If you have any questions, feel free to contact the firm. I have a ton of videos on resident, contract and training issues. If you have any questions, you can search in the channel. You might find the answer. So anyway, appreciate you watching the video. Thanks.